Welcome to Outlaw Woodworking. Today we're going to talk about why I think a 3D printer is a really good addition to any wood shop. Actually, any any shop where you're making things, a 3D printer is a good addition. And I happen to choose the Bamboo Labs X1 Carbon, not sponsored by them. I think there's actually probably quite a few out there that are just as good or even better. Um, but now this one is the X1 Carbon, and they have cheaper ones that do the same thing. So you don't necessarily have to have the whole enclosed thing. For me, I thought the enclosure would be good because of all the dust and stuff that's in the air. Now, I don't normally keep this out here in the shop area. I keep it in my office, but it still gets dust traveling around. And if you have a closed system like this with a built-in fan and stuff, it just seemed like it would be better for my particular application. But today we're going to talk about why I think this is a great addition to any shop, a 3D printer. Doesn't matter what one it is, get one that works good, and they're super easy to use. I use mine with Fusion 360 only because I was able to download a Fusion 360 software for free, and you just use the free version. And I had some previous experience with AutoCAD, so that helped me use that for Fusion 360. But yeah, so like here in my shop, um, the reason I like it, and we're going to make a couple things with the 3D printer today, that useful things that are important. Anyway, let me show you a few things that I've made so far. And I've actually made a lot of stuff, but the things that I've made for my shop that are super useful, let me show you what I've done so far. Okay, right here you can see I've made these sandpaper trays, and I didn't design these. These I actually just downloaded off the internet, and you can see pretty handy. And they didn't really take that long to make. And I made two of them to fit down in this drawer. And this is where I've kind of tried to keep some of my sanding stuff. But that's one item that I've made. Another item that I made for my shop was I started making these. Now I used a couple different colors because I was running out, but here's a 1/2 inch router bit holder. And then here's a 1/4 inch. This is kind of my catch-all router bit drawer. But you can see that's a nice, super easy. And I was planning on actually, I have a whole bunch of router bits in another location. I was planning on making a few more of these 1/4 inch ones because that's usually the size that I use. But yeah, that's another handy thing. Right here is some hooks that I made. These are just some hooks to hold your helmets, to hold your face shields. I need to make one more for that, but yeah, those are pretty cool. Anyway, you can make just about anything with plastic. And like this is a Dust Right um, vacuum adapter that I bought from Rockler. And I don't know, they're pretty expensive. But if you, so I use the rigid shop vacs a lot. And I use the shop vacs with the Cyclone, what is it called? Dust Deputy, which is basically a cyclone thing that keeps the dust from going to your filter, and it keeps it in a separate container. But I'm constantly, like recently I upgraded my my table saw to a saw stop, and I also upgraded my JESM router to incorporate it into this table. And you know, none of the fittings, they just don't fit properly. You know, nothing fits. They just don't fit together properly. And even if you go down to, like, I was at Home Depot the other day, and I had the measurements for all these adapters, and I'm going through their vacuum selection, and not one of them would fit. And also, I have a Hercules chop saw that I want to make a new adapter for. So anyway, I'm going to show you how easy it is just to go in Fusion 360 and make some parts, this, you know, useful parts in your wood shop. Anyway, let's get started. Okay, so this is the This is what they gave me with this vacuum box. And although I did make this one, it didn't really fit that great. So when you went to put this hose on, it didn't quite fit in there perfect. It did work though, but we're gonna make a better one today, and I'm gonna show you how easy it is. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna zero out our digital calipers, and we're gonna see the actual outside dimension of this. So we got 38.76. So we're gonna write that down. 38.76. So we got 38.76. That'll be our box. Now what we want to do, we want to measure, we want to basically go right on there with this. So what we need is, we need to go, we're going to make a new adapter similar to this that's going to fit on that box adapter and go right to this shop vac. So we'll zero this out. And let's see how big this is. So we got 2.272. So let's try that again. We'll zero out. Let's go 2.28. Okay, so we need to be 2.28. I'm going to recheck the one down below. So we need to be 3.89. Let's double check that again. 3.88. So this particular adapter needs to be 2.28 by 3.88. Okay, the next one we need to do, so if you look at this Hercules chop saw, it basically, this is your vacuum part right here. Now I think at some point I'll redesign a whole different vacuum adapter for it. But for now we're going to use the adapter that came with it. And what we need to do is measure the outside of it. So we got 1.68. 1.68. And then, of course, we've got the shop vac. We have another shop vac over here for this one. So we'll zero that out. .27. Now that should have been what that other one. So that one was 2.28. So we're going to do this one at 2.28 also. And that's inside. So 2.28 is inside. Okay, so we have two little adapters to make. Let's get over to the computer and we'll see if we can't make these. Okay, here we are inside Fusion 360. Now we're going to go up here to create sketch. We're going to do it from the side plane. And the reason I like to do it from the side plane, you'll see in a minute. I'm going to start out, we'll go ahead and start out from the middle. Now we're going to go ahead and put our dimension of our, the inside diameter of our shop vac piece. And that's 3.88. And we'll hit enter. So that's the inside dimension of that. Now what we want to do is we want to have a center mark. So we're going to go ahead and create a center mark. Find the center here. That appears to be the center. We'll go ahead and go up, let's say 3 inches. And make sure we're straight, hit 3. So that's a control line right there. Now the next dimension we need is the actual shop vac. So the 3.88 is the piece, is the center of the piece that's going around the router box. The next piece is for the shop vac, and the inside dimension needs to be 2.28. So half of that is 1.14. So we're going to go ahead and start right here. We're going to go over 1.14 and hit enter. Okay, now there's our shape right there. Now what we need to do, we want to create a nice shape for this. So we're going to go up here and we're going to go to a spline, and we're going to start there. Well, actually, I take that back. We're going to start with a line because we need a good solid inch of where it slips on really nice. And we'll do the same thing on the bottom down here. We'll come up an inch, and so there's our two control points. Now we can go with the spline. We can basically, you can either just create a 45 like that, which actually would work. Actually, that's what we're going to do. We're going to create a straight line right there. There's so many different ways to do it, but this is a decent way to do it. Now, so right there, I know, so I have my control center line right there, and what I want to do is get rid of this line, and I want to have 1/8 of an inch thickness. So what we're going to do, we're going to highlight, which it's already highlighted, but we're going to highlight all three of these. We're going to offset it, but we want to go to the outside, so we're going to go ahead and put negative 0.125, enter, and that went to the outside. And now what we're going to do is close these two gaps. Escape. Did I do wrong here? Let's see. Okay, there's that one. And now we need to close this other bottom one. Okay, now there's the sidewall of our object right there. Now we'll delete this line. So you can see you got 1 inch there and 1 inch there. Now let me show you how easy this is. So we're going to highlight that. We're going to go up to the revolve tool, and I believe it's in solid. So let's go here, right there, revolve. And all we have to do, so you can see, the profile, one selected, axis, one selected. So if we were to highlight this one, it would automatically rotate that around. And you can see there's your fitting right there, already done. And all you did was create that one revolve tool. And we'll hit OK. So that's basically the piece. Now what we want to do, before we print this thing, what I would like to do is inspect it. So we're going to do section analysis, and we want to do it from the side. We'll hit OK. Now what I like to do is I want to measure this. Measure from, I don't want the, actually I want to measure a distance, but it needs to be, I don't want to measure the circle. So that measures the radius. Center position 1.94. Okay, let's close that. Let's turn off the analysis. Let's put this to the top. Now what I want to do is I want to draw a line. I want to know exactly that this is the right size. It's going to fit that shop vac. So if I were to go, it's not letting me see the center of that, is it? 2.28 right there. You can see that shows should be 2.28 right there. Okay. All right. So that's perfect. Now let's double check the bottom also. We're going to do the same thing with the bottom here. We're going to take a line we want to be 3.88. That's perfect. I'm not quite on there, but that's should be right there. Yeah. Okay, so this piece is ready to go. Now what we want to do, we want to be able to do two pieces at the same time. So we're going to go ahead and let's see. I'll go ahead and export this. Let's go ahead and export it. We want to export it as an STL. So we'll go down here to STL, hit export. Untitled already exists. So we want to redo this one as this is the router part, router vacuum part. I don't know if I spelled vacuum right. I don't think so. I think it's just one C. Okay. All right, we'll export that one. Now we're going to go up here and we're going to go ahead, file, new design, and we're going to do the same thing, but this time it's going to be for the smaller one. So we got 1.68 is actually what we could have done. We could have used that same drawing. However, let's see. I want to create a sketch. So we're going to do the same thing. Only this time we're going to do the vacuum part, which is 2.28. That'll be our big end. And then we're going to go up 1 inch. And then we're going to do a control line, which is going to be in the middle of this. And we're going to be, let's go ahead and pick 3 inches. Escape. Okay, now we want to be half of 1.68. So we want to be 1.68 would be 0.84. So we'll go, excuse me, 0.84, enter, and there's our control line. We're going to go down 1, and all we need is a 45-degree angle right here. Oh, now we want to trim. We want to get rid of this piece right there, and get rid of this piece down there. Okay. You can see that's pretty smooth, pretty easy to do. Now we're going to highlight all these. Go ahead and offset, and this will be 0.125. Enter. And then we just need to close these two. And close the bottom one. And there you go. Now all we have to do is highlight this. Go to solids and revolve and select the centerpiece, and there's our new piece right there. You can see it looks a little different, but it's a smaller piece, and we're going to export that. Okay, we need to import these two parts. Here's the chop saw part, and here's the vacuum part. So you can see they're two different sizes. We'll go ahead and move one of them, and then we'll move the other one. Now let's they should both be sitting on there. Just to make sure, we're going to, you can go up here and put lay on face. So you want to select that. It already did it. So we'll hit OK. And we're going to look at this one also. Okay. So both of these are sitting on the plate just like we want. Now what we're going to do here, we're going to go ahead and slice the plate and see what happens here. So total is 2 hours and 24 minutes to print both these parts. Everything looks okay. We don't need any, it's not giving us any warnings. So we're going to see, we're going to go ahead and print these in, we'll print these in red. So we'll go ahead up here, we're going to select red, and so we're preparing the job, and we're going to send it over to the printer, and we'll do a time lapse so you can see the full printing of these two parts. Here's a time lapse of both the parts being made, and I basically made them both at the same time. Took 2 hours and 40 minutes, I think, to make both these parts. No supports were needed. If you go up at a 45 degree, it really turns out no supports needed. And here you can see I'm pulling them out after 2.5 hours. And they really came out pretty nice. They're 1/8 inch thick plastic, and yeah, easy vacuum parts. Okay, first up was the chop saw. We'll test out this piece. And this, I like it when they fit nice and snug because you don't need to use any clamp. They're not going to fall off. And this one, luckily, they don't always come out like perfect like this, but this one actually came out perfect where the hose fit on there nice and snug. And it was just a really good fit. And that should last a long time in the shop, moving back and forth. And yeah, that one really came out nice. Next up was the router box part, and we're going to see how this one. Now this one fit on there actually just as good. Now the end was the same size, so we know that's going to fit. So that one was a success too. Thanks very much for watching this episode of Outlaw Woodworking. I hope you got a little bit of inspiration on the 3D printer. It's you know, it's a different kind of tool, but it's fun to play with, and you can make just about anything. I didn't buy it to make toys, but I have made a few toys for my nephews and stuff. But I mainly bought it to make, you know, specialty size parts that you can't necessarily get super easy, and you can, and also you know, I have thought in the future that I would do some designs and some prototyping where you could actually make the one-off item in your 3D printer. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you next time. Later.
There he goes, it's a working man. He's trying to make a living any way he can. And he'll break his back for $1 or $2. Oh, there ain't no shame in what he do.